here I am with Ellen and Aaron Johnson, and they just recently have climbed 400 of Colorado's peaks together. Anyway, so we're here to talk to them a little bit about their climbing adventures and get a little bit more insight into it. So how long have you guys been hiking together?
2019, so that's 18 years.
Dang, cool. So how did you guys get started? Did you guys always hike?
I've hiked all my life. I don't know.
Yeah, I've hiked, I would say all my life, but I didn't live in Colorado until 1989, so I wasn't climbing the big mountains, as you would call them here. On the East Coast, we have little hills. But we actually met on a mountain.
Oh, cool.
Mount Democrat.
Cool.
Yeah, my friend had arranged a Big Ten alumni hike.
Mm-hmm.
And Ellen and another friend of hers showed up for that hike. And we met on that hike.
Really cool.
Climbing Mount Democrat.
Yeah, it was our first mountain.
It was our first mountain together. Yeah, I had climbed the mountain, I think, 4 times before that.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't go on to climb the other 14ers that day with the group. I had to escort one of the members of the party back down. He wasn't feeling well. So, but we stayed in touch and continued to climb together after that.
Cool. Where else have you guys actually hiked outside of Colorado?
Done a lot of hikes in Connecticut. We hike in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, yes.
Utah.
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Montana. Oregon.
Oklahoma.
Nevada. I've forgotten about Oklahoma. Arizona.
Oh yeah. Arizona. But most of the mountains that we've climbed have been in Colorado.
Yeah.
We've climbed some mountains outside of Colorado, but most of the other hikes like Utah, we mostly are doing in canyons, slot canyons,
Right.
upside down mountains where you go down first and then you go up. That's always fun.
We've climbed 12 mountains in Glacier National Park.
Oh, that's in Montana,
That's
right?
in Montana, on the northern border, yes.
Wow.
Those are big
Those are big mountains.
mountains.
Yeah. Very
Long,
impressive.
Very long days.
Oof.
Very long 10, 12 mile hikes with 4,000 plus feet of elevation gain. They're lower. They have tenors. They don't have
Yeah,
14ers.
they have the tenors there.
But you start at 4,000 or 5,000 feet.
Right.
I remember.
And a lot of them involve a lot of, actual hand climbing. They're
Oh, wow.
challenging mountains, spectacular.
Huh.
Yeah.
And you're on little goat trails. The trails were made by the goats.
Oh, wow.
That's your route. That's what you follow.
That's your route up the mountain.
Dang. So do you guys have a preference for summer hiking, winter hiking, somewhere in between?
I'm definitely a summer hiker. Fair weather hiker, fair weather climber. Ski during the wintertime.
We've done some mountains in the winter, and they're much nicer in the summer.
I did all kinds of winter camping when I was younger.
Oh, yeah.
I've climbed a number of the 14ers in winter conditions.
Oof.
It
This
was
year
working.
in June.
It was working out in the elements that made me decide to get out of the elements and not climb in winter conditions anymore.
Yeah, and it can be dangerous, more dangerous.
Yeah.
Worry about avalanches and frostbite and hypothermia and all that stuff.
Oh. Onto your current crop of hiking. About how many peaks do you guys climb every year, season?
Well, I'd say around 20 a year, between 17 and 20 a year.
Wow.
I think past years we did more because we've run out of mountains to climb within an hour to 2 hours of our house. So now we have to drive further away.
Mm.
So we have to spend more time getting there and logistics and sometimes staying over because you have to get up so early to summit. So it's more difficult to get more peaks. But I think in years past we may have done 30, even 35 in a year, but it's more challenging. We're still trying to find little mountains near here that we haven't done before.
We also have early and late season smaller mountains that we do closer to home that we're frankly running out of subjects to go after.
Oh, wow.
And then the main season of the high mountains, like when you're out at Denver International Airport or just looking at the Front Range, we climb them all. So we're having to branch out further and further and further all the time to find new mountains to climb that we haven't visited before.
Yeah, unlike the hordes of people who climb the 14ers, most of those people don't train for it. They just think, oh, I'm going to go out and hike a 14er, and they do it and they survive and all. But we try to, through the course of the summer, start with lower mountains and gradually go up in elevation to acclimate to higher altitude. So we don't just go out and climb all the big mountains. Starting in March or April, we're doing smaller foothills, and so we end up doing a lot of mountains that we've done before just to keep in shape or get in shape after the winter.
Your guys' best climb?
We may differ on this, maybe we don't. For me, it was Capitol Peak. Capitol is known as Colorado's hardest 14er. It's known for killing people too. I've climbed the mountain twice.
Oh, dang.
And both times were successful. It took a lot of planning and everything. But the first time I was on the mountain, I was really terrified and really hung on tight to the mountain, did a lot of praying. The second time I did the mountain with Ellen, because I knew the mountain and I knew the route, I was really able to enjoy the mountain and enjoy the climbing. And it's always been my favorite climb. And there's a lot of great climbs in Colorado, but it's a dandy. I call it the great one.
Where's it at?
Capitol Peak is over by Aspen.
Oh, okay.
It's toward the northern end of the Elk Range. It's the first major mountain, actually, south of Mount Sopris that everyone sees from Carbondale. The great big mountain there in the background, that's Mount Sopris. Capitol sits up behind it, and it's usually out of view.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I might know
There's
where.
one spot along the highway going into Aspen. If you're looking for it, you'll see Capitol. It looks like this great rocket ship coming up out of the ground.
Okay, I think I might have seen what you're talking about, because it's if you're on Sopris and you look almost straight south and you're looking at the back of Maroon Bells, and then Capitol's just swing a little bit to the east.
No, it's to the right.
Behind you.
It would be to the right from the Maroon Bells. It's this mountain to the right, and from Sopris is a great wall.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think I would agree that Capitol, it's a classic 14er, a difficult 14er, and it's got a variety of terrain. Most people, like we did, backpack in and camp and then climb the mountain the next day, because it's otherwise an extremely long day. As it is from camp, it took us 9 hours up and back. And that was, what, 3 miles?
3 miles.
Round trip. It's just class 3 climbing the whole way.
What
The
is
basin that we camped in was just beautiful, and the flowers, the wildflowers there, and there's a very pretty lake.
What is class 3
Where your
climbing?
hands and feet, where you usually want 3 points of contact with the mountain at all times, because loose rock, and there's a lot of loose rock.
And there are parts of Capitol that are rated class 4, which adds the component of exposure, which is great heights. So because of those few moves of class 4, Capitol is rated class 4.
Is, yeah.
And it is massively exposed.
Oh.
And so you don't let go of the mountain for 9 hours.
Oh, wow. Because if you get to sliding, you're not going to stop.
Right. If you fall off something like the knife edge, it's 1,000 feet.
Wow. Did it involve technical climbing?
It borders on that.
Oh.
There's a part of it called K2 that it's almost technical climbing. If you're judicious in your route finding, you can keep it at class 4 or even class 3. I generally don't recommend ropes on Capitol, because most of Capitol also has a lot of loose rock, and the ropes can jar rocks loose, and ropes can get jammed in loose rocks as well. So I don't recommend climbing Capitol with a rope. So therefore, you need to be very confident and very skilled and comfortable being on rock for a long period of time. So
And
it's a great climb.
not a fear of heights.
Yeah.
No fear of heights.
No fear of heights.
Break into some little advice for new hikers. What goes into making a good trip?
I think the key is preparation, knowing how to read a map. Aaron highly utilizes Google Earth, where you can see the terrain, you can tell the difference between willows, aspen, evergreen forest, pine or spruce or whatever, and you can see the steepness of it. I mean, the topo map is good too, which we use. So we use some software called Topo. It's ancient technology at this point, but we still use it because we can download waypoints to our GPS. And especially if you're bushwhacking, you need some waypoints. But knowing the terrain that you're getting into and knowing the route. And the best piece of advice is you never go down something you didn't climb up unless you know for sure that it goes. That's where people got into trouble on Capitol last year. Or was it the year before?
Yeah, last year.
Where they thought, I can see the lake, I can see my tent, I'm just going to go down this way, but there's no shortcut down that mountain. You have to go the one and only way that you came up. What else would you do?
Well, back in the old days, I got the old topo maps from the government, and I'd look at them and size things up and pick the route, and I probably had a success rate of maybe 50% at the time, because I'd get up there and the terrain is just massively impossible to do. And you'd look at it on the map and go, oh, that doesn't look too bad. But now I can compare that with what I see on Google Earth, and plus just knowing how to read a mountain and knowing its features. That's going to be a ramp of scree, if you will. That's a talus slope there, and I'd say our success rate has been very high now. We always come back successful because I've been able to use the Google Earth tool combined with a topo map to formulate a route. And remember, most of the time we're climbing mountains now that don't have trails on them and are very rarely visited, if at all. So it's really important to plan ahead. And so my advice to new hikers, whether they're climbing 14ers or any kind of hike, is to go prepared. Have all their 10 essentials and food, water, and then be very familiar as much as possible with the area that you're going to be in. So you know where you are at all times and where you are in relation to everything around you. So if you have to retreat or maybe take a different route, you know what you're doing, and just guard against any kind of possibility of things going wrong, especially in terms of getting yourself lost or getting yourself into a jam. We've had incidents just this year, people going down mountains and getting stuck on cliff faces and stuff because they didn't know it was below them, and they just went down that way or thought they could get down that way. And that's, for us, the best way to assure success on a trip is to go prepared and know the lay of the land really well, and know all possible routes, and take all your gear.
And have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Just last week, we planned to do a hike. We knew where the trailhead was. We were going to bushwhack. And we got there, and the forest was so choked with dead downfall wood that we had to stick to the trail, which didn't go where the map said it was. So even all your best planning, the map says this is where the trail is. Well, I think it was an old map.
Yeah,
They had never updated it, and they had moved the trail for whatever reason, we don't know, and it went a couple of extra miles out of our way, so we trudged on because we were in shape to do it, and it ended up being a 12-mile day. We thought it was going to be a 9-mile day. So luckily we always bring plenty of water and more than enough food. If you're going to have to spend the night, you just don't know.
Yeah.
You might fall and break something and they can't rescue you until the next day, so having that extra water and extra clothing. And the key, I think, to our success is we're not afraid to get up super early
Yeah.
to make sure that we are at the trailhead at the crack of dawn, you know, starting to hike 6, 7 at the latest, so that we can get down, depending on the duration of the hike, so we get down and off the mountain before any weather might impact us. So, because we hate having to turn around because of weather, and that rarely happens to us.
Right.
I can count probably on one hand the times we've had to turn around because of weather.
It's the price of admission. Get up early so you can beat the weather. A lot of casual hikers end up doing battle with the weather. Believe me, I've done battle with the weather, even on days when I got up really early. I've done battle with the weather. You don't want to do battle with the weather, so you get up early. And we've had a lot of fellow hikers drop away as we've gotten up there in the years. They don't like to get up early anymore. And we've even talked about it. And we can see that day coming, but for now we're sticking to our guns and we get up early. If you want to be successful in climbing a mountain, you gotta get up early. I would say being able to read a map, and realizing that the map may not be right. That happened to us on number 401, is that, like she was talking about, the trail being diverted. I immediately sensed we're going east. We're not supposed to go east for a while yet. The diverted trail is further up the mountain. And if the map had been correct, I would have been correct. So we deduced that, well, something's happened here. The map is not correct. And so you got to be able to adjust, think on your feet, and realize sometimes the map isn't right. What are you going to do about it?
Right. Has there been something you almost didn't take along with you, but then we're glad that you did?
Yes. There have been times when I'm trying to be stingy and keep my weight low. So I won't take certain things like, well, it's going to be a nice day today. I'm going to leave my rain gear at home or something. And I've never been really caught in a bad situation without rain gear. The one thing that I was cutting back on for a while toward the end of its service was my single lens reflex camera, the old Minolta SRT 200. Great camera, but boy was that sucker getting heavy. I ain't gonna take this thing today, And then I wish I had it because I couldn't take a picture. So now with the digital cameras, they're awesome, and the Nikon camera we have, it's awesome. And so I carry it everywhere, even on a little hike. I'll take it to make sure I can document the trip. So, yeah.
Well, I overpack, and I'm always yelling at him, what do you mean you didn't bring your rain gear? What if you fall and break your leg? We need a layer to keep you warm while I go for help. It's not just for rain. You just don't know what's going to happen. Or you encounter somebody who's in distress that you need help along the way and you need extra. Yes, I carry backup. I carry a water filter in case we run out of water and there's water.
So was there ever an instance where you didn't bring something?
I'm sure. Oh, yes. Well, let's see. We went to go climb Hallett and Flat Top in Rocky Mountain National Park.
I forgot about this.
And I put my hiking socks on, but I wore my Teva sandals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we get to the trailhead and I go to get my boots out of the car and my boots were not in the car. So I climbed the mountains with my Tevas on, which wasn't so bad. It was a trail. But then one of our hikers decided, well, let's go down the Tyndall Glacier Gorge here. Okay, I don't have hiking boots on, so we went. It was fine. It was a bushwhack, and it wasn't the most pleasant thing, but I wish I remembered my boots. So these days I just wear my boots out of the house because I can drive them if I need to.
Most of the time, if I've left something behind, it's because I forgot it. I forgot my hat, or I forgot my boots.
Sunglasses. Yeah, your
Yeah.
hat. You forgot that. One time he forgot his hiking pants. We were on an overnight trip. That's okay.
Has there been a trip where you were just outright caught unprepared?
Not that I can recall.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, I can't think of one, because I'm an organizer and planner.
I've been doing it for so long.
I mean, did we have one time when you forgot the GPS, but we have backup for that? I have an app on my phone.
Yeah, me being stupid and forgetting stuff isn't
Being-
being caught unprepared. I could say that I may have been caught unprepared back in the 70s when I
Oh.
was climbing mountains in blue jeans and just casually going up to like Grinnell Pass and climbing Mount Bierstadt in blue jeans and a plaid jacket, you know, and a canteen, you know. But it was a bright sunny day, and we post-holed a lot, and we didn't have any gear to deal with that, but we still climbed the mountain. So I don't know. I can't really think of anything for us anyway where we've been just outright caught.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
We've always been prepared. I like the saying, a good mountaineer is an old mountaineer. And I'd rather be safe and turn around when things look ugly, or even if it's a clear day, but I can see the wind's blowing, mountain's not going anywhere, and I'm going home. You know, and you live to tell it another day. So.
I've had people that have gone hiking with us that were not prepared. We had
Yeah.
one woman, which we didn't realize, she only had 8 ounces of water with her. And we didn't realize this until she started feeling poorly on the way back from Grizzly Peak off the Continental Divide up by Loveland Pass. And we're on our way back, and she started to be a little tipsy and like altitude sick. You know, we're like, well, do you have any water? And she pulls out this water bottle this big. And I think she hadn't even drank it all. I don't even know how, because I drink liters and liters of water when I go hiking. 3 liters I carry at a minimum. In some hikes I carry an extra liter. And yeah, so we're all giving her water and trying to, yeah.
It's routine that we see people up in the high country that are not prepared.
Yeah.
I was in Holy Cross Wilderness. I climbed the mountain, I think for the 6th time. And we were camping and getting ready to get out because weather was moving in. And here come this guy and 2 beautiful women from Vail. And they go right through our camp, and I stopped to talk to him. He says, yeah, we're going to climb the mountain. Yeah, I told him, yeah, I climbed it yesterday. I told him, I don't think you should climb the mountain today. He says, well, why is that? And I'm looking up at the clouds, and it's getting ugly, and we're getting out of here, and I think you should too. And the 2 girls are staying over there going, kind of getting snuffy about it. She says, I want to climb this mountain. And the guy says, well, I'm a guide, and I'm going to get them up this mountain. I told him, I don't think you're a guide, or you'd be turning around. This is no mountain to be trifling with, and you should be getting out of here with us. And no, we're going to go ahead and go. And I told him, oh, good luck. So I was up there the next weekend, and I was doing an interview. And I'm waiting for the interview to begin and stuff, and the newspaper guy says, you know, you like Holy Cross, so obviously you've been up there a lot. We had a rescue last week. I says, oh, let me guess, a guy and 2 girls, you know, the beautiful people from Vail. He says, how'd you know that? They walked right through my camp. And they insisted on climbing the mountain. And I told him, you cannot climb the mountain, it's not a good idea. And he says, oh yeah, they went up and got him off the mountain. The guy had said he was going to go for help, and he went down the wrong side of the mountain, which is really common on Holy Cross to do. And so they found him well on down into East Cross Creek proper, and the girls, they were still up on the ridge freezing to death. And but they were all alive and they were okay.
Oh, that's good.
So because it wasn't an emergency, there was no need to use a helicopter in the wilderness to get them out. So they had to walk out. Boy, the women were pissed. They wanted the ride out. So, and they had nothing. They had no protective gear. They had a couple of bottles of water. Yeah, no map, nothing.
Okay, so now not so much of a question, but do you have a really good story for one of your adventurous trips?
You're not gonna tell a horror story, are you?
Well, it sounds like your story might be different than mine.
I don't know if I have a story.
Mine was actually before I met Ellen.
Okay.
My buddy Jim Lehrman and I had agreed to do a climb of Long's Peak with a friend named Rosa and Andrea, and then our hiking partner who lived in Estes Park, who climbed Long's Peak 56 times.
Wow.
And we were going to do the loft route, which means you drop down the backside of the mountain about 200 feet, and then you climb up to the standard route to get to the summit. And then from the summit, you drop back down and then take the standard route, which is the keyhole route, all the way back. It's a 15-mile day.
Wow.
And a lot of class 3 climbing. And so we started at 1 a.m. in the morning.
Jeez.
And so
That's what you need to do.
we were climbing, we were getting up on the loft between Mount Meeker and Long's Peak at sunrise. So we were really doing well, and we put a lot of planning and preparation toward the climb, and got the girls all ready for it, and they did really well on this climb. And we're on top of the mountain, well before lunchtime. And so we enjoyed our stay up there, but I'm mindful of the clouds the whole time. They're building up fast. And I told Jim and Dave, we gotta go. And Dave said, well, I gotta go and pour some cement at my house. So he took off on down the trail, and Jim and I got the girls down. But the cloud built up very fast right over the mountain. And I told Jim, that thing's gonna let loose. And you take Andrea, I'll take Rosa. And Rosa can move faster than Andrea, and I can move faster than you. We'll get to the keyhole and wait for you at the shelter house there. And if you have to hunker down, hunker down. And Jim says, yeah, I agree with that plan. So Rosa and I took off, and we moved right along. We got through the Narrows, we got down the trough, and the storm hit. And the thunder was loud, the lightning was right on the mountain, and it proceeded to pour and pour and pour. And then the hail came. And there are literally waterfalls coming off the cliffs of the summit down on us. And we were just getting super soaked. All I know about Jim and Andrea is that they were forced to hunker down right at the beginning of the trough where the Narrows end. And they hunkered under a rock, and they were fine. But because of all the other people stuck up there, they couldn't move. So they just hunkered down and waited out the storm there, which is usually the way I do it. There wasn't much cover otherwise for Rosa and I, so we kept moving, and the water was just pouring off that mountain. And I had my old blue hat, outdoor research hat. That hat just did wonders in keeping the rain off, my head warm. I bet you it dropped 60 degrees in 30 minutes from, almost 80 degrees down to below 40. And we're sliding down, and water's just literally running down as we're sliding down these rocks and everything. And we got to the keyhole, we got to the shelter house there. It's jam-packed with climbers, and they're standing room only. And we get in there, and because of all the body heat, we warmed up really quickly. And it worked out really well that we were able to get in there. That's the worst storm I've ever been in. Now, I've done a lot of serious battle with storms, but that one was the worst. We were prepared. It was contingent that the weather could affect us in some way. And the girls were prepared because they'd been climbing with us all summer in preparation for that climb. And so it already paid off. The preparation, the practice prior to the climb, and then in the execution of the climb. And even with the early start, the weather still clobbered us. But we were ready for it, and we got through it really well. But boy, was that an adventure. I've never been in a storm like that in my life. And wow, what a rush to know that I made it through there, got the girls through that as well, and lived to tell about it because it was the storm of storms. How about you? Is there an adventure that you were on before, or maybe since we've met?
Well, the one climb that we did was at Lanai, where we were climbing up, coming from the east, and you couldn't see the weather coming.
Right, you couldn't see the weather coming.
Until we got up on this ridge and we realized, oh dear.
It's coming.
And we're trying, we had a fairly large group of 8 or 9 people, and we're trying to get them to move fast, going across this ridge so that we could get down, and we didn't quite make it.
It's a double summited mountain.
And
we'd gone over the first summit, and we were going up the second summit.
And it's a really narrow ridge, and it's slopey, so people with vertigo are like, eh, and we couldn't get them to move very fast. So anyway, we get to the other part of the ridge, and we had to hunker down under some rocks. Well, meanwhile, our poles are buzzing. We carry hiking poles, so we throw those away, get under a rock, and
it put on a show for a little bit there, yeah. There's no way off the mountain. You got to stay on the ridge and go over the other peak
to get down safely, because it's just a scree. It's a mess of loose rock.
We saw the wall cloud coming. It was over Dillon, and it was headed right for us. And I said, we got to move.
Yeah, we couldn't get him. I mean, if it had just been Aaron and I, we probably could have made it and gotten off the ridge and been in a little bit safer situation. But the only other storm that I was in, and he wasn't there, we went to Glacier.
That's right.
And I climbed a couple of mountains with some other climbers. Aaron stayed behind. He wasn't feeling well that day. And I don't know if we didn't see the storm coming, because I didn't know the weather patterns in Glacier like we do here. But we got to the top of this mountain, and it was so loud and frightening. I've never been like scared, like we're gonna get hit by lightning. But thankfully it passed in about 20 minutes of hunkering down under some rocks, and I didn't have hiking poles at that point, so nothing was buzzing. Our hair wasn't standing up on end or anything like that, but
which I've been in a lot.
Yeah, it was, and we managed, it passed, and we managed to get down. But it was slick, wet rock, which is very. There was another climb I did with Bill. We climbed Uray Peak, and we hiked up. Why we did this? Into a fog bank. And we got up there and we couldn't really tell where we were. And I had a different GPS. It was like a watch thing. It was like a Garmin Fortrex or Forerunner or something. It was an early model. I'm an early adapter of technology. And it was acting crazy. We were trying to find our way back down. Somehow, by some miracle, and there was all this moss rock. And the mist was making the moss on the rock like slick. And we had to go so slow. That was tedious getting down off that thing. But we did manage to find the car and lived to tell about it. We've climbed 402 mountains now. Those are unique summits, and that doesn't include hikes to like lakes or mountains that we've done multiple times. Like we've climbed Quandary 3 or 4 times. We've climbed Grays and Torreys a couple times. We've climbed Mount Morrison, who knows how many times. So I mean, we've done, I don't know how many, probably well over 500 hikes. And the number of times we've been caught in a storm, 10, maybe 10 out of all of that. So very small percentage. And we're prepared. I mean, we know what to do, what you're supposed to do when you're in lightning. You get in a ball and little ground contact as possible and throw your poles away and all that kind of stuff. So knowing what to do, and that comes with experience. So going back to advice to new hikers, do your homework. Don't just follow the leader. You know, you go with somebody, oh, well, they know where they're going. Well, you could get separated and you don't know where you're going. You don't have a map. You need to be as prepared as you possibly can be to do that hike by yourself without anybody else, in case you get separated, in case something happens. You know, you read about all these rescues. There were 2 guys that were rescued off a ledge on, I think it was North Maroon or South Maroon?
North Maroon, yeah.
I think it was North Maroon. They went down one way. You know, you get to the top of the mountain and you got there, but then you didn't pay attention to how you got there and where you need, and they go off the wrong side of the mountain. You need to pay attention to where you came from.
Yeah. And if you're always aware of where you're at in relation to the landmarks around you and to what the mountains are doing, you'll never get lost.
Well, he'll carry a GPS, usually for bushwhacking, and we have waypoints. And then I have an app on my phone called Gaia that is very helpful. It's got National Geographic maps, which sometimes the trails aren't where they are. And then I carry another GPS, which has SOS capability. And then I carry a battery bank in case any of the, and all the cords. In case any of this technology fails,
Yes.
we can recharge, you know, if the battery dies or whatever. We can recharge the phone, we can recharge the GPS, we can recharge the other GPS.
Most of the time I carry a map.
That's what I was
And
going to
a map
ask.
with the waypoints on it.
So
as
should
well.
all that fail, we can still get out. So, future climbers, hope you've been paying attention to this.
Yeah.
Because it's all good advice. It's the same advice I learned from other people, you know, and we're passing it along to you folks.
But things happen. We were climbing Kit Carson, and you have to climb Challenger first.
Okay.
And it's a very steep, very loose slope that you have to go up.
Oh.
And I don't know quite what happened, but Aaron encountered a rock the size of a large microwave, and it probably weighed
500 pounds, easy.
at least, I was gonna say a ton.
Well, it was sitting in scree on the slope, and thousands of hikers had hiked by this rock. And so the scree had been pounded and worked loose. So it just so happened, I go by the rock and it starts to go like this. So I grabbed hold of the rock
He's trying to hold it.
and I realized I'm not going to be able to hang on to this
And
rock.
we're screaming rock
So
because
we
there's
yelled
people
down the slope.
below.
Rock's going to be coming.
It's a 1,500 foot drop. Well, finally he had to let go
I
of
had
the
to let
rock.
go, it would have pulled me down with it.
And we just screamed our heads off
Rock,
and
rock,
prayed
rock.
that there was nobody in the path of this rock.
Yeah. You could hear our voices going all the way down the mountain. So, and you could hear the voices of everyone warning, there's a rock coming. So when we let it go, the rock kind of went down away from me and then it angled down and started going down the slope of the mountain and gained speed, hit other rocks, splattered, rocks going everywhere. And that huge rock that I was hanging on to, I could see it rolling out into and clear across the basin below. And
It just kept going.
yeah, it just kept going.
Miraculously,
Yeah.
nobody was hurt.
No one was hurt.
So you just don't know the rock you're gonna step on, and we encounter loose rock all the time, and it can go out from underneath you, and you can have an accident through no fault of your own, really. I mean, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, all the preparation in the world. I mean,
Climbing is a dangerous business, and yeah, all the preparation in the world may not save you, but having the knowledge, the experience, and skill hedges against that. So
Be prepared and don't
best to be
panic.
prepared, don't panic, and learn all you can from those who have gone before. Well, if we can get to 500, that would be pretty impressive to me.
yeah, that's impressive. Impressive to you. You're very impressive.
If we do if we do that, that would be 63, what, that'd be 67 years old by the time we do
We
500.
figured it'll probably take us 5 years to get to 500, unless we get
Maybe I'll
really,
be 68.
get really creative on mountains, finding little hills here and there.
Definitely does great wonders for your health to hike. Hike. We know people our age, just about everyone else that we know our age, is doing as good as we are. We're in pretty good shape. So yeah, that's the blessing that you get out of hiking and climbing.
Best mountain climbing partner ever.
Likewise.
Sweet.